Hello and welcome back. So today is a bit more of a serious video, and I wasn't really sure how to put this video across, whether I put it in a creative way or whether I just sit here and talk or do something completely different, but I decided the best way to do it really was just me, you, the camera, and just talk about what has happened in this past week. And from the title you're probably really curious, but nothing like bad has happened in terms of like I've not been arrested for being a criminal or something, but we'll get into the finer details in a minute. But basically this past week, past 2 weeks, I have been stressed out, I've been depressed, anxious, whatever you want to call it. It's just been a whirlwind of emotions, and things have been sort of boiling up for a while now. So you've got like things like family problems, you've got money problems, throw work into the mix, throw little things just like an untidy house. It all becomes this big problem, and then like the lid on this like pan, almost it's like this pan of stuff that you're cooking up, and the lid's just it's going like this and it's going like this, and then one thing will happen, and one thing did happen. I got home from work one day and I went upstairs and there's loads of toothpaste everywhere, and I was like, what, why is there toothpaste everywhere? It turned out Benji had got the toothpaste and just put it everywhere whilst Roxy was doing something. And normally not a problem, kids just get into things, don't they? It's what they do. Basically hit the pan and the pan just went poof, and it blew off, and from there things sort of went rapidly downhill really fast. So basically in the last 2 weeks I've been detained twice, and by detained I don't mean I've been arrested. I haven't been charged with a crime or anything, I haven't done anything wrong in that sense. I've been detained section 136 of the Mental Health Act. It means if you're in a public place and the police deem you to be a danger to yourself or other people, they can section you under that or detain you under that. You go off to a mental health hospital, and then you have an assessment by 3 health professionals. I think it's usually like 2 doctors and a social worker or something. And then they assess you, and there's like 4 options. First option, discharge you, nothing else. Second option, they discharge you, but you're still under the care of the hospital. Third option, you sort of informally go in yourself into the hospital. And the fourth option is being sectioned, or being held there against your will. Both occasions I was released under the care of the hospital, and then both occasions I said I didn't want the help of the hospital, and there's not a lot they can do there, because if I say I don't want it, they can't force it upon me because a decision was made to release me. It's really confusing, and I can't get my head around it thinking about it now as to why they didn't keep me there or do something a bit more. But it is what it is, especially on the second time, because the second time was a bit different. So the first time I went for a walk, I went to the bridge, and I suppose there was a part of me that was probably calling out for help, like not literally, but like by telling people where I was, there was probably like a tiny part of me that wanted help. Like there was this massive part though that was sort of almost saying, just do this, jump off the bridge, because that was my intent. I'm not going to lie, my intent was to jump off that bridge and die. Like, I'm going to be honest, that's what I wanted to do at that period of time. But there was a tiny part of me that was telling people where I was, or not telling them exactly where I was, but giving sort of hints and stuff, and I was calling like this crisis team and things. And then they got really concerned and they called the police, and then the police called me, and I'd sort of gone for a walk, and hand on heart, I didn't know where I was. I had a rough idea of where I was, but I didn't know like the road names or anything, because it was just this massive roundabout with traffic lights that went all through it and stuff. But anyway, I was on the phone to them, I was explaining where I was, like what I could see around me, and then as soon as the road name came up, I said, right, this is where I am. And they were like, oh, can you just wait there for me? And I was like, I don't really want to. So I just carried on walking, and they stayed on the phone with me. And then I'm just carrying on walking, going past this massive school, and I say, oh, there's this school on the left, etc. And then I look behind me, police car pulls up, and like I don't think I've ever seen a police officer get out of the car so fast. But he got out, he grabbed my arm, not tight, he just sort of held my arm so I didn't walk off. I tried to walk off like briefly, because I was just like, well, I don't really want to stop. But they were like, if you could just stand here and have a chat. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be put in cuffs, I don't want to be beaten up, or, well, not beaten up, but you know what I mean, I don't want any of that hassle. So I was like, okay, I'll just stand here, I'll wait. We were talking for a good sort of 10-15 minutes, no real issues. I just said I'm fine, because in that situation, when you're thinking like that, when your brain's telling you to do crazy things, which looking back on killing yourself is not a good thing to do, but when your brain's telling you that, there's like, certainly for me, there's another part of my brain that's telling me, well, you're fine, this is a normal way to think. So I was telling them I feel fine, I was telling them what I'd been planning and things like that, but there wasn't really in my head any concern, but they obviously were concerned enough. And a second police car came along, and again we spoke for a bit, and then he walked off. He came back and he was like, right, I will be detaining you under section 136 of the Mental Health Act. My heart almost stopped for a second. I was like, whoa, okay, this is real now. Like they're doing something about this, and this is weird, and my rights have almost been taken away from me from being able to just walk around and do whatever I want, because I was then in the back of a police car. No handcuffs, no tussling, nothing, no problems. I was compliant the whole way through. There's no reason not to be. Anyway, we got in the police car, we drove off just round the corner, went back round and went down into this small road just so we weren't blocking all the traffic. And for some crazy reason in the UK, and we were discussing this with the police officer as well, is that you have to wait for an ambulance to come and transport you to the hospital. The police aren't generally able to do that when they've sectioned you or detained you under this act or any sort of mental health thing. They're not really allowed to transport you unless, like, I think it's like unless the ambulances are really busy and there aren't going to be any for hours. But generally speaking, they can't transport you because they're not health professionals. It's crazy. But anyway, so we were waiting for an ambulance, and then another police car came along because the guys I was with were coming off shift and they were going to take over. And then I got into that police car, and then the ambulance pulled up, so I had to get into the ambulance. It was like, oh my God, it's like musical vehicles. But anyway, so we went off to the hospital, and as I said, it was like 3, 4, 5 hours I was there before I had the assessment, but then I was released and got a taxi home. Next time, slightly different. I was on the phone to someone. I'm not going to start naming names or anything, but I was on the phone to someone. And I was down by a river, and they thought they heard a splash. They thought I went in, and I heard them say something about the splash or are you still there or something. And I guess my brain was, the way I was thinking at the moment, at that period, I was sort of playing with that then. I don't remember doing anything to encourage the idea that there would have been a splash, but I played on the idea then when I realised what had happened, and I went quiet, and then I hung up the phone and things. And then I drove off, and I didn't want to stay there. Went somewhere else, police called again, same guy as before. And then some police come along, and they're fine with me. We're talking, we're chatting away. I put the window slightly down because I didn't really want to get out of the car yet. And I'd like to point out at this point, my car is parked near a river, but in front of me there is a mound, like, it's a huge mound of grass that my car physically isn't going to get over. And then about, I don't know, I'd say about 50 metres ahead is the river. So it's quite a distance anyway, but there's a huge mound. So, like, in my opinion, even looking back now, there's no concern I'm going to be able to drive my vehicle into that. But then a police sergeant came along, and obviously he had some idea that I was able to get my car over this mound, and started getting quite aggressive towards me. Firstly, he asked me, was it my vehicle, which I still to this day don't understand the relevance of that with this situation. I don't know if he knew the whole situation that was going on or not, but it didn't really make any sense to me. And then it very quickly turned into, well, if you don't get out now, we're going to smash your windows in, because they just said you're detained. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get out. I just need to get my bag, I need to get my phone, get my things in my bag. I need to turn the car on again just to put the window up, which the police sergeant was a bit, concerned about as to why I was doing that. I was like, well, I need to put the window up. And I got out, immediately arm grabbed, and that it was quite firm this time. And I was like, okay, you're holding that quite tight. He's like, oh, we don't want to run off. I thought, fair enough. And then the next thing I know, I'm being searched and I'm being compliant. I haven't got anything on me or anything because they need to check that. And then suddenly I'm on the police bonnet, and I don't know why. And then I'm in handcuffs. And I hand on heart, I do not know why, because to this day I don't know why. I have actually made an official report with the police, and I'm just waiting to hear back about it, because the way that things happened and this police sergeant, it seemed very, very aggressive, considering I didn't actually do anything of any concern. And they had hold of me anyway just by holding my arm. I'm not going to be able to get away. But slamming down onto a police bonnet, and then some other things that happened that I don't want to go into too much detail, just because obviously I have reported it. But things hurt basically, and I got told that I whine a lot when I said I was getting pinched by him, which was just weird. But anyway, and then the same thing again, you wait for an ambulance. I'm in the police car in handcuffs, which are so bloody uncomfortable. I know that from doing police training, but this was different, because in police training, when I was training to do that, it's a bit easier, because you can just say, oh, can you take them off now? In a real life situation, they're not just going to go, all right then, I'll just take these cuffs off for you. But again, I don't really know why I was handcuffed. They never gave me any explanation as to why. I'm still waiting on that, I suppose. And then again, off to the hospital and released again under the care of the hospital. And then again, I said I didn't want any help from them. And then things took like another level. Like, we're like here now, we're at the bottom, and I'm thinking, well, life can't get any worse than this, and I'm already feeling suicidal. And then my partner kicks me out of the house. And by that I mean she wants me gone. So again, I don't want to go into too much detail about that, because it's kind of a private issue, but she basically just didn't want me here anymore, because in my head I was saying we weren't together and stuff, and obviously she doesn't want to live with someone we're not together with. Officially we haven't broken up, we're still together, and it was my mind being ridiculous and saying stupid things. But she wanted me gone, so she called the police to sort of assist with that, and I went again, no hassle, no problems, and I just went off to the bridge, and then I went off to get some food and book a hotel and things. But it was then that I sort of realised this can't go on. Like, if this carries on, I will literally lose everything. I will lose my partner. I will lose the house I live in. I will lose my job because I can't get to my job. I will lose seeing my son, Kylan. I will lose seeing Benji. It will just... Then problems get even worse. So, for like an hour I was thinking, actually, perhaps life isn't so bad then, because it could then get like 10 times worse. And it sort of hit me that things need to change, and change kind of quickly. Like, I know, these things can't change overnight, but they certainly can be helped overnight, and within an instant you can sort of help yourself by just releasing it to someone, just letting them know on Facebook or wherever you contact people. And that's what I did. I just messaged a couple of close people. I apologised for the last week or so. I said, I've realised now I need to get help. Perhaps it's taken me longer to realise that than it should have done, but there's this thing about men not wanting to get help and stuff, and I suppose that was part of it for me as well, it did seem weak to try and ask for help and say I'm struggling and stuff, and it's really hard to make this video as well, because it's still quite raw in my mind. It's only really this past week these things have happened, but eventually I realised this needs to stop, and I'm on sort of the road to recovery and stuff, I suppose, but it's a long road ahead, and it's a long process. Like, it's not going to be a quick fix, I suppose, to sort of cure me or anything. But I need to contact the doctors tomorrow. On Monday I need to start looking at counselling and things, and really have someone that I can trust and talk to, that I don't know within my family or my friends circle and stuff. And I think that will help. I do talk to my friends and family as well, but I think having someone else as well will probably help, and getting help with that. But at the moment, I'm not feeling like I want to die. I'm not feeling suicidal or anything. Before, it wasn't a thing for attention. I didn't say it for attention. That's genuinely how I felt. I had the intent to do so. I tried to do so. I failed. I'm glad I failed, obviously. But there was always that intent, and it wasn't me trying to just attention seek, because I know some people will sit there watching this, and you have every right to do that, but you'll think that's what it was for, and that wasn't the reason. But the reason I want to make this video, there's two reasons I want to make this video. First reason is because I've always said I'll tell you guys pretty much everything that goes on, the good, the bad, the ugly. And the second one, which, I hope perhaps it'll help someone if you're struggling with anything, is just to get help. And I know it's hard for me to say that, and it's weird for me to say that, considering I'm still in the process of getting help and stuff. But perhaps that helps more, I don't know. If it's because it's still so raw for me. If you're watching this and you're going through similar things, is that, I look at it of how bad it could have got, and I had to stop it before it got that bad. And it basically took to the point that I got kicked out of the house and realised I was going to lose everything, that I realised, okay, hang on then, suicide isn't the answer here, getting help is the answer. And that's obviously what I'll be doing in the next few days, and things like that. But at the moment, I don't feel like I want to go off and kill myself or anything, so it's not so bad. And the boys are away at the moment, they're with family and stuff, so it just gives me and my partner a bit of time, get the house sorted, get things sorted, get back on track, get some help, get the ball rolling with things, and then have them back, and it's all good then in the house. There's no bad vibes or anything, because then I'll be getting the help I need, and everything hopefully will be a lot better. But even this last day or two, it's been a lot better than it has been in the last 2 weeks, obviously. But I didn't want to make this video too long. I think it is quite long, so if you are bored of this video, if you're still watching, I do apologise. But I do hope you guys have enjoyed this video in some way, even if it's just sort of enlightened you into the problems I've been having, or if it's helped you in some way, or whatever it may be. I do hope you guys have enjoyed as best as you can enjoy a video like this. And obviously I want to try and get back to what I did say I'd be doing with the vlogs channel and stuff, is filming on my days off and stuff, which hasn't really happened yet. And obviously making sure I keep regular uploads on this channel and things. But other than that, as I say, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please subscribe if you're new around here. Not all these videos are so serious and I don't want to say boring, but so serious like this. But leave a like down below, subscribe, and other than that, I'll see you guys next time.